Hey, good evening. Welcome to the April 11th seating of the Board of Directors for Waynesboro Area School District. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Mrs. Kuzic, can we go ahead and start with a roll call?
Yes. Mrs. Sullivan? Here. Mrs. Zimmerman? Here. Dr. Royer? Here. Mrs. Miles? Here. Mrs. Strite? Here. Mr. Marvin?
Here.
Mrs. Harold? Here. Fortney? Here. Mr. Smith?
Here. Thank you. And so now we'll go to approval of the agenda. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
And we have some changes, I believe. The first change is on item 3. We will remove the discuss and act student student Chromebook lease with First American. So we'll remove that. And then as we move down to 2 under business, we'll change that from discuss act on proposed final budget to discuss act on proposed preliminary final budget. Okay, all right, just some wording there. All right. So any other discussion as far as the agenda is concerned? All those in favor?
I need to get the first and second. I was typing what you were saying.
Okay,
First, second.
okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. And so now we move to the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, questions? All those in favor? Any opposed?
Abstain.
Okay,
Not here.
1 abstain. Okay, and now we go to our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So I believe for the first time since I believe it's 2013, we had a full Easter break. Students have been off since last Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So they will be returning tomorrow. As we completed the approval of our calendar for next school year, we have 2 snow days built in, and then the remainder would be the FID days, with the understanding that moving forward, we should be able to continue an extended spring break or Easter break as well. The middle school hosted the Franklin County Science Fair final competition, and I believe I shared that information with the board, and it will also be on the website. And I just want to also acknowledge that I had the opportunity to attend the Superintendent Symposium in Philadelphia. It was an outstanding opportunity to meet and interact with other superintendents. And of course, the history part of me really enjoyed the historical tour of Philadelphia and leadership, learnings of leadership from our founding fathers. So definitely an enjoyable experience. So thank you.
Thank you. Hey, any public comment? No surprises, no. All right, okay.
There is no public comment, but I'm not allowed to comment until the end, according to this agenda. But I wanted to just say something to our superintendent. I received, a thank you from a teacher acknowledging this wonderful spring break that we have had this year. And I just wanted to say that when I taught, I felt that we needed a longer Easter break, both for teachers and for students. And so I just want to thank our superintendent for, wishing that we didn't have these snow days to break into, this lovely vacation that our students and teachers had.
Okay, so let's Move down to board reports.
Academic met last week. Main points of discussion were elementary enrollment and block scheduling courses that based on signups, which ones will be offered and which ones will not.
Anyone else?
Policy committee meets next Thursday at 1:00.
Budget will meet on next Monday, the 17th at 5:30 here in this room.
I don't have,
Facilities, I
Facilities.
believe, is next Tuesday at Alma's house.
Yeah.
Which is the 18th at also 5:30.
I have it written down for tomorrow.
No,
No.
I think it's the
No.
third Tuesday.
tax day.
Well,
You're welcome to show up. I can be there.
well, thanks for telling me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And at Alma's house. Okay, all right.
18th.
18.
And
What time?
so now we
5:30.
move down to our student board representative report. Mayor?
I have a lot of names to share for stuff. But first, I want to mention the lip sync thing that happened at the high school last Wednesday. It's a lot of fun. I don't know when the video will come out. I think it's up to tribe time, but it was a lot of fun. The class of 2025 is having a paint night fundraiser, April 27th from 5 to 7 p.m. And I think it's $20 a ticket. So if any of you want a ticket, you can just ask me and I'll get you one. Then because Ratty likes to talk about FBLA, I decided I will too. But FBLA is going to States Sunday through Wednesday, I think. And right now it's which me and Riley are going to present our chapter report. Alexia Menser is going for the client services test. And she's also presenting the partnership with business report. This year we partnered with Downtown Main Street. Sadie Hall is doing the job interview and she's also presenting the partnership with business. Colby Weibel is doing the accounting test. Brenna Nadio, health administration, and Kaylee DeLauter, broadcast journalism. And then Miss Sawicki had Miss Sawicki led the Science Olympiad thing she started in about January and it was held March 25th. And it was students from Williams and Washes. Peter Childers, 4th in Codebusters, which is like ciphers. Nevea Debrick, 5th in Bioprocess. TJ Cox, 3rd in Green Generation and 5th in Codebusters. Gabby Strasser, 6th in Disease Detectives. Izzy Bupp, 3rd in Green Generation and 5th in Bioprocess. Jaden Rooney, 6th in Green Generation. Cal Swanson, 4th in Codebusters. Tyler Rooney, 4th in Codebusters and 5th in Crime Busters. Lizzie Calloway, 8th in Meteorology. Ava Motes, 3rd in Disease Detectives. Macy Bittner, 1st in Write It, Do It, and 3rd in Disease Detectives. Jaden Guo, 8th in Sounds of Music. Will Stein, 8th in Sounds of Music. Nate Friedman, 9th in Experimental Design. Caden Shakru, 4th in Codebusters and 5th in Crime Busters. Landon Kipe, 4th in Flight. Morgan Jones, 9th in Experimental Design. And then I also participated and I got 4th in Codebusters and 6th in Green Generation. A lot of names. And then there was also the PA Governor's STEM Challenge, which included Madison Warren, Joey Jacobs, and Megan Miller. They created a program that they called Emolument, and they got selected for the final state competition in Harrisburg on April 19th. I don't know much about Emolument, but I do know that it It's about the stock market, and it's a program that reads the last 30 days of the stock market to help predict which stocks you should choose. And then we had National History Day with Megan Miller. She placed second in documentary film. She interviewed the last remaining alive woman from the first female pilots in, I think, the Navy, And the sad thing is that like a week after she interviewed the woman, she died. But Megan Miller was her final interview. And then we had PA Media and Design with Anissa Minnick, first place in animation, called The Lockwood Killer. Cassidy Wheeler, first place in webpage design, called Living with Lupus. Jordan Benke, first place in 3D design, Gaslock. Jaden Leach, second place, PA Media and Design logo, and Aiden Hess, third place in PA Media and Design logo. And that's it.
Thank you.
So you guys are leaving this Sunday for the States? Well, good luck to all of you.
Right.
It's supposed to be about 10,000 people.
Wow.
Wow. Very good. And plenty of participants, right? That's great. And kudos to you for pronouncing all of those names. Everybody knows that's had to pronounce name. Okay. Thank you. Let's move down to the next item, and that is personnel.
Hey, good evening,
All right, good
everybody.
evening.
It's nice to
Thank
see you all. You all had a happy Easter. So there's 3 retirements that total 102 and a half years between the 3 of them. Miss Lightsell, music teacher, Martha Walk, cook and server, and Christina Carabal, kitchen manager. So we want to thank them
Wow.
for their service to the district. So there's 2 resignations, a transfer of staff here at Clayton. Chelsea Sanders, recommending her moving into the assistant business administrator position. 2 other paraeducator appointments, support staff, and then some folks to the summer school and some game personnel. So we're recommending that the school directors approve the personnel listed above or in your packets there.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the personnel as listed?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we move down to the proposed preliminary final budget, Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, sir. Sorry about
Clarify
that, Mr.
that.
Smith. And again, I apologize if certainly between us and the state, we tried to make it a little confusing. So that is an apology. So tonight we're voting on basically, we've always called it a preliminary budget, but it's, the state would formally call it a proposed final budget, but it is not the final budget. So this is really a step that we have to do as a school district, which sets the clock, then allows you to approve a final budget at least 30 days after today, if this is approved today. During that time, we do have to advertise as well. We'll advertise on the website. We have to have printed copies off in the office. And then we also will post that out in a newspaper of circulation if we can find one of those anymore.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, but that's a requirement that we do. Again, this is all part of transparency. At one point in time, school districts could have passed a budget very quickly and very little public knowledge or comment. So the state put this process into place many years ago. So effectively, we did a preliminary budget and gave that to you at the last meeting. We did a presentation on there. The state format's a little confusing, admittedly. The state format's confusing because there's no change in the tax rate right now in our proposed final budget. Even though we do have a $1.4 million deficit, we're still working through budgets. We're still looking to see what the state's going to give us at the end of the day. We know those numbers could all change a little bit. But the reason why it does not look like there's a deficit is because if you have fund balance, which we have, the state would assume, well, you have to have a balanced budget. So you would use your fund balance to balance the budget. Again, a lot of districts do this actually on a regular basis. Some districts may be in a situation where they have such a large fund balance that they regularly plan on using some portion of that for their final budget. So that's not really unusual, but that's why it's a little confusing. When we talked at our last meeting about a $1.4 million deficit, there really is one, even though the state format, it doesn't make it easy to find that number there. You'd really have to take a look and do some different comparisons. So certainly, I think we had some feedback that it'd be good if we put some additional information out there to make it more accessible and make it a little bit easier to see for the public, whatever the decision is on this at this stage. But we certainly can do that. And we did post the presentation itself out in the news section after the last meeting as well. So the community had the available to see that on the board docs as well as see that in our news feed in case they missed it at the board meeting itself. But the proposed final budget is still the same position as last. It's a $1.4 million deficit with the state funding that we know of at this point. And there is no change to the mill rate for our taxes at this state. Okay, this time, excuse me.
So is there a motion to approve the proposed preliminary final budget resolution for the 23-24 year? Fiscal year.
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions?
Question, just a comment. We will have at least 2 budget committee meetings between now and when we actually will vote on the final budget. So if, you know, anyone on the board or from the public is interested, they are welcome to attend those. But, you know, again, as Mr. Holtzman said, we're still preliminary, still changes can happen. And so if anyone has any comments or questions, you're more than welcome to come to those budget committee meetings.
So, and they'll have access to a list of, an itemized list of. Right, yeah.
I think so.
Yes, we'll make
Okay.
the same information available that we did before. We can certainly do that. It's public information. And there's nothing confidential in those numbers or from a safety or security perspective, nothing like this.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you.
And now we move to the ESS contract.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So the recommendation is for the Waynesbury School District to enter into an agreement for 1 year with ESS. That is our substitute contract service. We have been utilizing them for a number of years. And so at this point, the recommendation is to enter into a contract for an additional school year.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve the ESS contract.
Second.
Okay, questions?
Actually, I'm an ESS employee as of now. So therefore, you know, I need to abstain from this because is it correct for me as a board member to sub in our school district? Yeah, sure. Legally, I can, but is it correct for me to do so? So therefore, I'm going to abstain.
That's rhetorical. You're just saying how you're thinking. You're not really asking that.
Well, no, I'm not
Okay.
really
Okay.
asking that. I'm just saying that I question
Makes sense.
whether this is correct for me as a board member to actually sub in the school district. I became an employee before I became a board member. But I am still an ESS employee. Do you want me to go into the classroom now?
Yes. Are you spying? Are you spying on anybody?
Yeah, that's fine. Good.
I can understand you wanted to abstain from the vote, but I think it's great
Okay.
that you're one of the substitutes.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna abstain
Okay.
for that reason. So that was my question.
Other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Have one abstain. And now we move to E-grants resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. So this is again, part of the transition process. For me to be able to sign e-signatures through PDE, I need to have this resolution approved. And so the recommendation is to go ahead and approve this resolution so I can utilize the powers of e-signature in the in the Wayne Prairie School District. So
Okay, so is it, sorry, is there a motion to approve the E-grant resolution granting Dr. Rita Serna Hyde e-signature access?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
thank you.
next we move down.
So these are annual contracts that we have with the two non-publics. Just as a reminder for the community, sometimes people would ask us, why do we do this? It's a state law and a state requirement. So if we provide transportation to our own students, then we're required to provide transportation to any non-public school within 10 miles of the closest border of our school district. So that's why we travel up to Chambersburg or Hagerstown or Emmitsburg or different locations such as that. But it's a state law and requirement. Although surprisingly, except for special education, school districts are not actually required to provide transportation to their students. I'm not really, other than Camp Hill, none of them come to mind. But Camp Hill is about the only one, and I think just because of the size of the district, but everyone I'm aware of all provides transportation. But I always like to remind everyone that we're not legally required to do that, but it does ensure students come to the school a lot more frequently than if we had to rely on everyone else to do. It'd be much more challenging, I think. So anyway, the reason why we do these contracts a little different is they're one-year contracts. We pay them the actual transportation index rate. So we pay our other contractors a little bit more than that rate. These contracts here are the actual rate, so it's a little bit lower. It gives us some more flexibility if we want to change this program up year by year. And it also gives them a little flexibility. If we're providing the transportation ourselves directly, then we would limit who they could pick up, and it would be just district students. There are some advantages for the non-publics to do this at the quote unquote lower rate, so to speak, because they may pick up some students in Chambersburg on the way to those schools, for example. And so it helps those schools out. Actually, it's a little bit more efficient instead of having to run multiple buses, which you could do that, but again, it wouldn't be really as efficient and help them out. So really, they're helping us a little bit. We're helping them a little bit as well. The solicitors reviewed the agreements. We've sent these to both of their parties. They've reviewed them, said they were okay. So we're bringing them back to your attention for approval.
So the motion is to approve the 23-24 transportation agreement with Shalom Christian Academy.
Yes, sir. And also,
I'm sorry,
That's
it's not
okay.
in Cumberland Valley Christian School. You have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions?
I have a question.
Hmm.
Mr. Oldsman, how many other states provide this service?
I am not aware of any others offhand, Ms. Harold. I am not. I know, and again, I've seen this personally. I've seen people who, and again, they've moved from Maryland over the line because you get free transportation to go to non-public schools in Maryland.
And not only that, as an example, you can decide that you would like your child to go to Mother Seton in Emmitsburg, despite the fact that St. Andrews is next door.
Correct. That's correct.
So-
And we have to provide transportation and
And-
follow their schedules.
And
Yeah.
your point about the 10-mile radius from the entire district means if you live in Blue Ridge Summit, but you want to go to Geelong,
Mhm.
which is a whole lot more than 10 miles, you are entitled to that.
That is correct.
So in an effort to try to explain to the public, my effort,
Mhm.
why our expenses are so high, transportation cost right there is incredibly expensive. Now, again, we can't do anything about it. It's a state law. I understand that, but that's not easy for us.
I know, and again, I can speak from this directly, that we've kind of pushed at this legislatively. I've been aware for at least 14 years. It has just never received any traction to go forward from any perspective. I think PASBO's even pushed at this in that direction as well. It has just not received any support whatsoever at a legislative level, but that's where what it would take to make this happen. And I would also say that it's become even more difficult. I mean, this was a cost that I wouldn't say we could afford, but this was a cost only issue, so to speak. Now it's become a labor issue because there's just not enough drivers. There's not enough vans and vehicles out there. And so instead of being able to use those for more needs that we have in our district for our own students, we're instead, of course, having to go ahead and transport to, Hagerstown and Chambersburg and Emmitsburg, for example.
Now, are these our buses or are some of these the Shalom buses that,
These would be the Shalom and the Cumberland Valley buses.
okay, so it's their buses that they're coming over to
In
Waynesboro.
this
to pick
example,
up
yes, yeah.
in this
But,
example.
but I think Ms. Harold was probably expanding that conversation to, we do have other vans that go to different places that make it convenient for us. And we've been using our other contractors to do that at this
Okay.
point. Yeah. I hope I answered that. I understand where you're coming from that perspective. These are not directly ours.
I have a friend who drives for Shalom and I
Sure.
thought she came over here and picked up Waynesburg.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
I move into financial business purchase orders and bills for payment. Councilman?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So we just have the normal bills for payment from the general fund and the cafeteria fund, as well as requisitions. And then we have the normal occupancy and per capita exonerations coming from JP Harris. Again, that's effectively where the individual has proven that they, should be exonerated from those taxes. JP Harris goes through that process and they notify us, and then we take that off of the books as a debt that's owed to the district. And we'll be doing that. You can imagine we have not had per capita taxes for 6 years. We're still exonerating taxes for those, and we will be probably for many years. They are diligent trying to collect.
Okay, so a motion is to approve the purchase orders and bills for payment is listed. And occupation and per capita tax exonerations made by JP Harris. Have a
To
motion?
approve.
Second.
Questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Right, wow, that was fast. We moved down to the Clayton cabinet comments.
We're going to start the interview process, in terms of some of our teachers who have retired, as well as some additional transfers. And we're going to be starting the PSSAs and Keystone shortly. So, coming back from this fabulous, spring break, Easter break, gonna roll right into some, the testing, environment, but, looking forward to, having a very positive, spring. Our students and looking forward to interviewing. I mean, whether or not it's appropriate or not, I do want to celebrate that for one of our teaching applicants or positions, we had 14 certified applicants, which is unheard of. Now, let me clarify, some of them are not completely certified because there are a number of graduates that are going to be graduating this spring, but
Right.
that is definitely an area of celebration because we will all recognize that there is definitely a teacher shortage. So I am celebrating the opportunity to interview that many people for the spring.
Special job.
It is always special. Every job's special.
Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, like.
It's for the elementary music position. So I guess
Oh,
since I
oh.
shared it out, so elementary music, there are 14 applicants. So,
Wow, now, see, I would think that would be something that would be hard to find people for.
so, yeah.
Very good.
Like, great, fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes, would be.
That's not always the case. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Dr. Deshawn.
Hey, no, thanks so much. I appreciate that.
All right.
I was really excited today. With the opportunity to sit down with Dr. Sterner-Hein and Megan McGuire and myself and able to dig in this. At it with Dr. McCallum a little bit, and we were on a certified trained call writer person. Yeah, it was a good day today to
Thank you. So board members, any board members come?
I'd like to say that I went over to the school district website, which I have been critical of sometimes in the past for not being able to find things. And I very easily found this preliminary budget presentation that people can go and look at. It's the one you gave us last meeting. I found it very easily, so thumbs up.
Oh, thumbs up would be for Ms. Forrester. So she's the one that posted that for us. So thank you.
And I'd like to say, Dr. DeShong, I've heard positive comments from our teachers, how you have gotten into classrooms and have integrated yourself into reading programs and, you know, just gotten to know people on a first name basis. And I applaud you for that.
Still working, there's a lot of people who know. I also want to make a comment. Mrs. Harrow and I, we've decided that for the academic committee, we're gonna co-chair together. We worked it out.
Not giving up that power, isn't it?
It's not, it's all yours.
Hey, any other board members?
I
Yes,
just,
yes.
I just wanted to confirm National Honor Society inductions tomorrow night,
Yes.
6:30. Did you say that? I must have missed it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Anyone else? Okay, and once again, committee meetings are open to the public. And anyone with an interest in budget, facilities, academics, policy, I think policy as well, please join us. We are happy to have you, okay? Sometimes I think budget, some of these meetings can get rather technical, but
Budget is never technical.
but they're always 100% informative, so you learn a lot, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now we move to, let's see, we will adjourn. Do we have a motion? And we will be, after we adjourn, we'll be going into executive session for personnel, I believe personnel issue, okay, or matter. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, everybody, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.